What is up, guys? So around the week before I'm recording this video, DC held their DC Fandom event, which unveiled a lot of different things, a lot of trailers, a lot of announcements, a lot of concept art, and a lot of different things that we now know about the upcoming DC movies. It was more movies than anything because there's going to be a separate panel completely for TV shows, but there was also some video games and some talk about TV shows as well. But we did get a lot of trailers, we did get a lot of concept art, even some concept art trailers, and I want to talk about all of these upcoming movies in this video, but in the sort of format that I'm used to, ranking all of them from my least to most anticipated, based off of what we know so far. Now, there are a couple movies I'm not going to be talking about, including Aquaman 2, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and the recently confirmed Static movie that's going to come out, as well as any other animated movie. Like, it was confirmed that there's going to be a Justice Society animated movie, as well as a Batman The Long Halloween 2-part animated movie. I'm not going to be talking about those. I'm just going to be talking about the live-action movies that have either trailers, concept art trailers, or at least concept art that was unveiled in DC Fandom. With that in mind, I am excited for every one of these movies, but obviously some more than others. So let's begin with the video. So DC Fandom gave us a new trailer for Wonder Woman 1984, and first of all, it is at the bottom of the list here, but like I said, it doesn't mean I'm not excited for this movie, because I am, and all of these movies do look at least interesting. Wonder Woman 1984 is just the one I'm the least excited for, because it's adding the least, it's the one that is adding the least to the DC universe. It's the one that is doing the least interesting things. That being said, it does have certain things that I am excited for, namely the villain Cheetah, as well as Maxwell Lord. But for Cheetah specifically, we got our first look at Cheetah in this trailer, and she looks surprisingly good. I say surprisingly because I was genuinely afraid that Cheetah would end up looking as bad as the cats did in Cats, because I mean, they're humanoid cats. I mean, it's basically the same thing. So I was afraid that they were going to look similar. However, they don't, as Cheetah here does look exactly like how Cheetah should look, and it does have a very interesting, good design, so I am at least a little bit interested in this movie. However, like I said, out of all the movies that were announced or given trailers in this DC Fandom, Wonder Woman 1984 is the one that I'm at least looking forward to, as it is doing the least interesting things. However, I am still excited for this movie. DC Fandom gave us our first look at the Justice League Snyder Cut, a movie that people have been clamoring for, or at least a certain group of people have been clamoring for such a long time now, almost 3 years at this point, ever since the original one came out, and people didn't like it. It wasn't a great movie. It was definitely very, very heavily affected by both the Warner Brothers as well as Joss Whedon, and it was definitely not what Zack Snyder wanted. Now, I was never somebody who was clamoring for a Snyder Cut, because while I do think that his version probably would have ended up being better, I don't think it would have ended up being great necessarily. Just look at Batman vs Superman. He did direct that fully, as well as the Ultimate Edition, and neither of them were exactly amazing movies. They did both have the Martha moment, so I didn't think that Zack Snyder Cut would be like amazing or anything. However, this trailer looks really, really good. It might be just because the music of the trailer fits so perfectly with how they edited it together, but honestly, I'm convinced. I am looking forward to this movie a lot more than I would have looked forward to it before this trailer came out, and I'm even more looking forward to it because it's not actually a movie. It's a mini-series split up into 4-hour-long episodes, which I think is a very, very wise choice, and it's crazy to me that a 2-hour movie is now being brought into a 4-hour TV show. How many changes could there have possibly been between the Snyder Cut and the original Justice League, or Whedon Cut, or if you want to call it that it was half the runtime? So in that, I am very interested. I think that the trailer looks a lot better than the original movie. I am interested in how they're making it into a miniseries. I will say though, don't like the design for Darkseid. It looks very small and not big enough, not enough color. He just looks like another CGI creature. Same with Desaad. It looks basically just like one of I think his name is Cull Obsidian from Avengers Infinity War. He just looks exactly like him. So those CGI creatures, and also Steppenwolf, he looks a little bit cooler, but not exactly great. They're all just gray and they're all boring. So those things I don't think look all that much better than the original movie, but I do think overall it is probably going to be a lot better. So we didn't actually get a trailer for Black Adam technically, because they actually haven't started shooting, so there's nothing to see. However, there was some concept art, and they used concept art for the sake of a trailer, and I think that's enough. And there's also certain announcements about this movie, like certain characters that are going to appear that I could talk about in this video. Now, when Black Adam was initially announced, a Black Adam movie starring The Rock, I wasn't excited for it because I didn't really think that a Black Adam movie needed to exist. I mean, why not just make a Shazam movie with Black Adam as the villain? Then Joker came out, and I'm a little bit more convinced that villains can have their own movies, and I think Black Adam has a much bigger precedent for a movie, a solo movie, than the Joker because of his origin story and how he's not as tied to Shazam as Joker is to Batman. And then the fact that The Rock is playing him is another thing that I wasn't really looking forward to. You know, The Rock's great, he's a huge movie star, but he always plays the same character in every movie, and I'm not convinced as of yet that he's a good enough actor to play Black Adam, and I'm a little bit skeptical that he's going to end up just being The Rock. It's going to be a The Rock movie, not a Black Adam movie. That being said, there are other things that I am really looking forward to, such as the JSA is appearing. I'm a huge fan of the JSA, and we've been getting them a lot lately. There's also a JSA animated movie that was announced during the DC fandom that I am definitely really looking forward to. But anyway, we are going to be seeing the JSA. Specifically, 4 characters have already been confirmed: Cyclone, Atom Smasher, Dr. Fate, and Hawkman. All characters who we've either never seen before, at least we've never seen Cyclone before, in live action that is, or they're characters that have never been done well in live action. Dr. Fate appeared on Smallville on Stargirl. On Smallville, he's on Smallville. He never really had the potential to be any good. While on Stargirl, he wasn't really used. He didn't really appear outside of like a cameo. And Hawkman appeared on Smallville, again, not really having much potential to be a good character, and on Legends of Tomorrow, he was one of the characters that they did not end up doing well. Atom Smasher was terrible on The Flash, so these are characters that have never really been shown their full potential in live action before, so I would love to see them in Black Adam, and I am definitely excited to see them, along with other potential JSA characters that could be appearing. I also think that the origin story, the story that we're shown in this concept trailer, does look really, really interesting. From the voiceover alone, I am a little bit less afraid that The Rock will end just being The Rock, because he does seem passionate about this role, and maybe he can break out of his Rock stereotypical Dwayne Johnson character and be the Black Adam. So with that in mind, with all those things in mind, it is not at the bottom of the list. It's higher than other movies because there's a lot of interesting things that's happening here. However, I am cautiously optimistic because there are things that are working against it. We didn't get a trailer for The Flash. We didn't get a concept trailer for The Flash. We only got concept art because that's really all they have. They haven't started filming. They clearly have not made a concept trailer like they did for Black Adam, and they haven't even had any voiceover like they have for Black Adam. They just have concept art as well as announcements. With that being said, these announcements are really, really interesting. These announcements are really cool. The concept art looks great, and I am definitely excited for this movie. I should say, though, I'm not a huge fan of Ezra Miller's The Flash. I don't really think he fits the role all too well, or at least in his portrayal in Justice League. I didn't really think he was all that great. Did not like his costume either at all, but these are things that could definitely improve in this next movie. He is getting the spotlight. He is clearly getting a new, much, much cooler costume, and he is also probably either having a Flashpoint storyline or he's going around the multiverse, since we know that he's going to be teaming up with the Michael Keaton Batman, whether or not that's going to be Thomas Wayne in the Flashpoint timeline or the actual Bruce Wayne from Earth 89, and they're going to be further exploring the Crisis on Infinite Earths multiverse that we saw in the Arrowverse. I don't know, but these are things that are really, really interesting, whether it's the multiverse or Flashpoint, and the concept art definitely looks really, really good. That being said, with all these interesting things and the fact that they're doing a live-action Flashpoint or a Flash movie in the multiverse, it sucks that it's only at number 3 here because Ezra Miller, I'm not really a fan of him as Barry Allen, so we'll just have to wait and see how this turns out. Still, though, it does look fairly good. So next up is The Suicide Squad, which we technically got 2, not trailers, but 2 different teasers for this movie. One of them was a behind-the-scenes thing where we did see some footage, but most of it was interviews and behind-the-scenes shooting reels. And the other one was what they call a roll call, just showing all the actors, who they're playing, and what they look like in the movie. With all that, this movie looks insane. They have so many F tier, some D tier, some C tier villains villains that most of them are probably going to die, and that's a certain uncertainty that we did not have in the original Suicide Squad movie, since other than Slipknot and obviously El Diablo died in the end, we knew that none of them were going to die. Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, Killer Croc, these are not characters that they would ever kill off. However, this time around we get characters like Bloodsport and Javelin and Ratcatcher 2 and Polka Dot Man, characters that you can easily see them killing off and characters that we might not ever see again. And that's what I really like to see in a Suicide Squad movie, not knowing who's gonna die, not knowing when they're going to die, just characters that could die at any moment and really living up to the name, the Suicide Squad. That's something that we saw in Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, where in the end almost everybody on that team was either dead or not on the team anymore, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to how colorful this movie looks, how insane it looks, and the fact that James Gunn is directing definitely helps it a bit. In fact, it probably helps it a lot. With all that being said, with how good this movie looks, and the fact that we have a couple of returning characters, Amanda Waller, Captain Boomerang, Harley Quinn, and Rick Flag, the last three of which look way better in this movie, while Amanda Waller, she looks exactly the same. But with those returning characters, it means that this is technically a sequel to Suicide Squad, and with that, I'm hoping, and I'm not just hoping, I can see this honestly being one of the biggest upgrades between a movie and a sequel that there's ever been. And finally, the last remaining movie to talk about here, the movie that I'm looking forward to by far the most, more than any other movie that's not only from DC fandom, but honestly any other movie that's been confirmed to come out in the future, and that's The Batman. This movie looks amazing. Everything from the murder mystery vibe that they're going for, the detective story, something that we've never really seen before in a Batman movie, and something that could end up being absolutely incredible, to the Riddler. He looks like an amazing villain. The Riddler is one of my favorite villains, and we've never really seen him before, not in a serious light. Like, the Riddler in Batman Forever was a terrible, terrible villain. The Riddler in Gotham, we never really saw him go up against Batman, and the Riddler in the Arkham games also never really used in a way that could be considered a good villain. We've never really seen the Riddler used in that good of a way outside of the comics. So I'm absolutely looking forward to what they're doing with the Riddler, and from the trailer, he looks amazing. And so does Batman, as everything about this character looks like he might end up being the best version of Batman we've ever seen before. The costume, absolutely amazing. Up there is one of my favorite Batman costumes we've ever seen in live action. Robert Pattinson, from what we've seen, he looks like he's perfect for the role. Something that I would have never expected. Like, when it was announced that Robert Pattinson was going to play Batman, I was like, really? Like, that seems like a weird casting. I didn't really think he looked all that much like Bruce Wayne. I mean, he's known for the Twilight movies, not exactly the most beloved movies ever. I do know he's been in other movies, and I do know he also hated that role, but I don't really know him for anything else. So, I mean, again, I didn't think it was going to be bad. I just thought it was a weird casting. However, I have no doubt about it right now. He's going to end up being an amazing Batman, maybe the best Batman we've ever seen, as he looks perfect in the role. And Batman looks incredibly badass in this trailer. I mean, that scene at the end where he beats the shit out of that thug, it's one of the coolest scenes we've ever seen in a Batman movie, and it's just from the trailer where he says, "I'm vengeance" in the end. I know that's the most exciting scene from this trailer for everybody, and that includes me as well. In the end, The Batman is a movie that I'm extremely, extremely anticipating, extremely excited for, in every way possible. This movie looks amazing. And I'm hoping, from everything we've heard from this movie and the trailer itself, I think it has the potential to be the best Batman movie ever made, or at least up there with the other great Batman movies, and I'm hoping it is. But one thing that I'm hoping more than anything is that Robert Pattinson's Batman ends up being the best live-action Batman ever, because while, The Dark Knight is an amazing Batman movie, I don't think Christian Bale was a perfect Batman, and Ben Affleck never really got his chance to shine in his own solo movie, so I'm really hoping that maybe Robert Pattinson can end up being the best live-action Batman we've ever seen, and that's something that we could maybe be seeing in this movie. Anyway, I'm very, very excited for The Batman, and the trailer was absolutely amazing. But anyway, that's every movie trailer that was released for DC Fandom, or at least every movie that we know that's going to come out, or at least we have something from the movie that there is to talk about and there is to rank from least to most anticipated, at least for me. Let me know in the comments down below which of these movies you're least anticipating, but more importantly, which the ones you are most anticipating. I'm guessing for most of you it's the Batman, but let me know your thoughts on all these movies, regardless, in the comments down below. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.